Jay, you gonna have Blake on your bike, man? Any chances of picking up Blake Lively and having her on the back of this?
Never happened.
Justin Baldoni might have a better chance as a guy, man.
Everybody has a better chance.
Wow, thanks, dude.
Jay Leno just humiliated Blake Lively live on air, roasting her so bad even strangers apparently have a better shot with him than she does.
So this means that the entire narrative that Blake Lively created about this smear campaign could collapse.
Jay Leno just embarrassed Blake Lively on live television, mocking her so harshly that even random people seem to have a better chance with him than she does.
Wow. He is saying what everybody else is thinking right now. No one wants to have Blake Lively on their bike. That's for sure.
This followed Blake's phony smear campaign against Justin Baldoni falling apart, built on stolen messages, suspicious subpoenas, and uncovered lies that Hollywood's no longer protecting.
Everyone knows who Jay Leno is. And what's special about Jay Leno is that everyone likes him. He's a very sympathetic guy. I've met so many people who said that Jay Leno is just like, he's just well liked everywhere.
You know it's serious when even Jay Leno, Hollywood's ultimate nice guy, the car-loving, dad joke legend, can't stay silent anymore. This is a man who's been in the game for decades, avoids drama, stays neutral, and still manages to cruise on his bikes like a laid-back grandpa. And yet, even he couldn't resist tearing into Blake Lively. That's how chaotic and damaging this situation has become for her.
So for him to say something like this about Blake Lively, I think is major, and it's really showing where Hollywood stands, really when it comes to her.
Blake Lively, the so-called darling of Hollywood, has spent years acting like she's America's golden girl, while behind the curtain, she's been orchestrating what might be one of the most pitiful smear campaigns this industry's ever witnessed, and now it's finally backfiring on her.
So if you missed that, this photographer said to Jay Leno, any chance of you picking up Blake Lively on your bike? And he said that would never happen.
Jay Leno didn't just casually brush her off. He torched her reputation with one savage line, basically saying, even random strangers have a better shot with me than Blake Lively. And you don't need me to explain how brutal that is coming from Leno. The guy practically treats drama like it's toxic waste. He could have smiled, nodded, dodged the moment, but instead, he went straight for it.
And he said, maybe Justin Baldoni has a better chance. And Jay Leno said, everybody has a better chance than her.
This isn't just shade or some throwaway late-night joke you forget by morning. This is a clear signal that even Hollywood's biggest names are done with Blake's nonsense. That sweet, charming, relatable actress image she tried so hard to sell. It's dead, completely torched, thanks to the mess of legal disasters she sparked trying to control her public persona. We're talking bogus lawsuits, fake subpoenas, sketchy behind-the-scenes deals, and now the whole house of cards is crashing down. Jay Leno's offhand comment might seem minor, but in Hollywood, that's code for, she's done.
You know, Hollywood is known to protecting its own until it doesn't. And when someone on the inside starts distancing themselves like he's doing here, I think that is a huge sign.
And honestly, the way Leno dropped that burn, absolute chef's kiss. It all happened during a casual run-in with paparazzi, one of those unscripted Hollywood moments where celebs get caught off guard. Some photographer, clearly aware of the drama, throws out, "Hey Jay, any chance you'll have Blake Lively riding on the back of one of your iconic bikes?" Harmless question, right? Leno could have smiled, changed the topic, given the classic no comment. But nope, he fired back without blinking. That would never happen. Never. Coming from Jay Leno, that's not just a diss, that's a public execution.
Little digs at her on talk shows, but not really anything like this. So, thank you, Jay Leno, for being honest.
But it gets even juicier. The guy mentions Justin Baldoni, the very person Blake's been trying to drag through the dirt with her flimsy, collapsing smear campaign. And Jay? He doesn't hold back. He straight up says everyone has a better chance than her. Random fans, the Uber driver, maybe even the dude holding the camera. At this point, just about anyone's more likely to hop on one of Jay Leno's bikes than Blake Lively. That's how far she's fallen. When Hollywood's nicest guy is casually roasting you in front of paparazzi like it's no big deal, you know your PR image is officially toast.
Following the Justin Baldoni, Blake Lively drama.
Yeah, no, that just seems silly to me. I don't know. I can't say. California is on fire. I don't know how many people are coughing through the flames trying to follow Blake.
And let's not forget, Leno isn't the type to stir the pot. He's built his whole image around not rocking the boat. The guy's known for laying low, steering clear of celebrity drama, and just chilling with his car collection. So for him to publicly take a shot at Blake? That's major. It shows that even the behind-the-scenes elite, the A-listers who normally stay neutral, are done playing along. Blake's name? It's toxic now. But let's not pretend this came out of nowhere. She's been quietly brewing this disaster for months, maybe even years. You want to talk manipulation? Let's get into the Van Zen mess, the absolute clown show of a legal strategy that's falling apart in real time. At the center of it all is a bogus lawsuit filed by Blake's shell company Van Zen. Yep, because when your image is crashing, apparently the fix is to slap your name on some shady LLC, file a fake case, and cross your fingers no one notices. Well, everyone noticed.
Because Van Zandt and Blake Lively's team don't want anyone to see the subpoenas that were sent to Stephanie Jones. Just to remind everyone, what happened was that a company called Van Zandt all of a sudden sued 10 anonymous people that they call Joe Does or Jane Does.
Lively's lawsuit? A total scam. They filed it against 10 unnamed individuals. Didn't even name real people, just random John and Jane Does. All of it was just a cover to push through a shady subpoena targeting Stephanie Jones, a former employee at Jones Works. And that subpoena had nothing to do with justice or accountability. It was just a sneaky move to access private info, specifically to get their hands on Jennifer Abel's personal phone. And what did they find? Texts, emails, private chats, all the usual material people like Blake love to twist into fake victim stories.
He collects cars and he's very into cars and he's always being so nice to people. He's always waving, making jokes. I could just feel his vibe as well when I went to this screening of this movie.
And here's the real kicker. The lawsuit disappeared like it never existed the second they got the data. No follow-up, no trial, no actual legal fight. Why? Because it was never about justice. It was all about silencing critics and seizing control of the story, plain and simple. Blake's fingerprints are all over this scam, and reports have been surfacing linking both her and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, directly to Van Zandt's ownership. So spare me the fake surprise. They weren't just aware of this shady setup, they were the ones pulling the strings.
I don't know how many people are coughing through the flames trying to follow Blake Lively.
It's honestly embarrassing how sloppy they were. You'd think if you're gonna run some shady legal scheme, you'd at least make an effort to cover your tracks. But nope. The second this blew up, the connections started surfacing. Ryan Reynolds, supposedly Mr. Nice Guy himself, got dragged right into it alongside Blake. They thought they could run their little puppet show behind the scenes, pulling strings, leaking private info, destroying reputations, all while playing the victims on glossy magazine covers. But the mask's slipping, the lies are catching up, and even Jay Leno's not falling for it.
He came over afterwards and offered me popcorn if I wanted to share his popcorn. The way he was talking to everyone, I was like, okay, Jay Leno is a really, really cool guy.
You know it's over when the Hollywood elites, the ones who usually circle the wagons to protect their own, start backing off. That bike snub? It wasn't just a funny throwaway line, it was a message. Jay Leno doesn't waste his breath on drama, so when he casually lets the world know Blake Lively's not welcome on his bike or in his orbit, it's because even behind the scenes, people are bailing. The fake lawsuits, the weaponized subpoenas, the desperate press manipulation, it's all falling apart. And Blake's finally been exposed for exactly what she is.
But now Jay Leno has made his stand and he's definitely not Team Blake Lively.
You know what's hilarious? Jay Leno saw this whole Blake Lively train wreck coming from a mile away. Months before he publicly roasted her into the ground, people were already trying to get him to comment on her legal disaster. It happened at one of those movie press junkets where celebs sit around acting like everything's fine while their PR teams are scrambling in the background. Some reporter casually tossed in a question about Blake's legal mess, hoping for a juicy quote. And Jay? His reaction said it all.
But now Justin Baldoni's team and obviously Jennifer Abel, who owned the phone, is saying, we want to see the documents that ended up with you guys sending a subpoena to Stephanie Jones, and we want to see the original subpoena that was sent to Stephanie Jones, because I think Jennifer Abel never even saw a subpoena.
He dodged that question like a total pro. You could literally see the discomfort crawling across his face. The man looked like someone just asked him to babysit a wild raccoon. He didn't defend her, didn't show support, barely even acknowledge the situation. And honestly, that silence was louder than any words. Jay Leno doesn't do controversy, yet even then, he couldn't bring himself to fake any support for Blake Lively. That's how fried her reputation already was back then. And let's not forget the timing. This wasn't during some slow news week where a celebrity breakup was the top story. No, this was during the California wildfires. The whole state was literally burning, people were coughing through smoke, homes were destroyed. And in the middle of that chaos, Blake's PR mess was what people expected Jay to comment on. Leno basically shrugged it off like, we've got bigger things to deal with. Nobody cared about Blake's overblown drama, especially when it reeked of manipulation, and reek it did. You could read it all over Jay's face. He didn't have to say a word, his body language screamed, yeah, I see right through this. And turns out, he wasn't alone. Fast forward to the bike roast, and suddenly the gloves are off. That awkward dodge months ago? It turned into full-blown mockery. Even the people who always stay neutral, the ones who zip their lips when scandals hit, are done protecting Blake's fragile little image. And honestly, it's no surprise her entire smear campaign against Justin Baldoni is collapsing faster than her fake victim act. Blake built her case on one thing: stolen private messages. That's right. The so-called smoking gun that was supposed to prove her narrative came from one of the shadiest subpoenas Hollywood's ever seen. Let's break that down. The only reason Blake even had those texts and emails to wave around like proof was because her team slipped them through a bogus subpoena. Baldoni's legal team, rightfully skeptical, demanded the full original subpoena. And what did Blake's side hand over? Selective, cherry-picked pieces. Classic manipulation move. It's like handing the judge half a puzzle and pretending the picture makes sense.
And then also Blake Lively's team is making sure that they're distancing themselves from Van Zandt and saying they're a third entity, they're a completely different company. We really have nothing to do with that.
But here's where it gets even worse for Blake. If the court rules that subpoena as improper, her so-called evidence gets tossed out like last week's tabloid. And that's not just embarrassing, it's catastrophic. Her entire smear campaign depends on that stolen data. No data, no case. Legal experts are already circling like sharks, warning this could lead to serious consequences. Sanctions, formal reprimands, or even major parts of Blake's lawsuit being thrown out altogether. Imagine burning all that money, pulling off all those legal gymnastics, just to end up right back at square one with your fake narrative crumbling at your feet.
Regarding Van Zandt did not come from Van Zandt directly. It came from Blake Lively's team, who I'm sure are very good at cherry-picking things, as we know.
But Blake being Blake, of course she's trying to spin the whole disaster. Her team's in full-blown panic mode, scrambling to distance themselves from the one thing tying all these shady moves together: Van Zandt. Yep, the same sketchy shell company she cooked up to run that subpoena scam. Now they're suddenly claiming Van Zandt is an independent entity. Please, that's like me saying my Instagram account has nothing to do with me. The paperwork's out there. Public records already exposed the links between Van Zandt, Blake, and Ryan Reynolds. At this point, they might as well have signed the subpoena with a Sharpie.